lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get
He
very
missed
close.
the pit complete. That is crazy
Side by side,
stuff.
Freitas is on the grass on the infield four. He slides through. He tags Richard Neagle.
In a series that has continuously provided great racing, you'd think it would be hard to have a single battle stand out. But that's exactly what happened in the previous round at Silverstone when Johan van den Belt and Tuan Tran clashed in the metaphorical and literal sense. Will the fireworks return at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 3 of the Absolute Beginners Formula Neagle Cup live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak. With me in the booth today is Richard Losper, and behind the scenes directing is Amjad Yaman. As always, our cameras have been provided by Dougie Beard. Well, Richard, I know you loathe driving this track, but you can't deny it puts on some fantastic racing. Tell us about this popular F1 circuit.
Joe, good evening to you. Good evening, viewers. You said it. I do not like this track at all. Tracks with too many chicanes, and particularly chicanes with raised curbs, are not my idea of fun. Having said that, this track does have appeal. It's Montreal, called in the vernacular. In Canada, 2.71 miles long. That's 4.3 kilometers. 14 turns, so a medium-sized track. And we do have ourselves a 45-minute race. It has one very, very long back straight, once again, which leads into a chicane. On the front stretch, there are 2 chicanes for the drivers to negotiate. A tough track, very technical, easy to get slowdowns, Joe, particularly on the last chicane. And I want to tell you, if you do get a slowdown on that last chicane, it's something like a 5-second slowdown, so drivers will have to be very, very careful. Number of technical turns. The pit exit, where the drivers come out of the pits, is very, very awkward for oncoming traffic as well, so the drivers will have to be aware of that. But if you can handle all of that, should be a good race, Joe. Let's have a look at a lap guide and see what it's all about.
Alright, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC Skippy, so let's do a lap around Montreal. Coming down to turn 1, you're always faced with, is this a passing zone or is it not? The sharp left and then switch back hairpin to the right makes it very viable to defend from the outside. So despite the heavy braking zone, you gotta work hard to really execute a successful overtake. From there, we accelerate away around this gentle bend along the St. Lawrence and set up for 3. This is a corner that will invite you to attack it, but get over aggressive and the wall to the outside is quick to punish the greedy. From there, 5 is typically a thread-the-needle type of corner, but in these lower-powered skippies, it's a much easier proposition. Just hold to the right to brake for 6. This is a deceptively tight corner, but the trickiest part is accelerating around 7. Once again, you're faced with a game of chicken with the barrier on the exit. Now we're taking another long stretch on the throttle, and once again across a gently curving straight. Hopefully you got away well, because if your competitor is close, he could be gunning for a pass. You'll brake at just about the 2 marker, and if you haven't had enough of chicanes, it's time for another one. This time, though, the curbs are pretty tall, so be wary of trying to cut them too far inside. By now, we're getting close to the other side of the island, and as we come around the bend, you'll see the trees and walls are going to make the infamous casino hairpin unsighted. This is the only real straightforward place to pass on the track. Even then, it's extremely easy to overshoot the corner, so if your opponent brakes early, all they have to do is pull an over-under on you. It'll still take skill and precision on the driver's part to make it happen. By now, we've hit the backstretch, and though this used to be a sinuous set of S's, it's since become this long blast to the final chicane to create our last chance to overtake. But the most well-known facet about these 2 turns is the wall of champions waiting at the exit. If world-class drivers have had to learn to respect it, you better make sure you don't simply dismiss it as nothing. Clobber both curbs, find the grip, and hit the gas pedal. But do not flirt too close to that wall, or your day will be over in a hurry. As long as you survive that, you finished a lap around Montreal. Chicanes everywhere, as you can tell by that lap guide. Drivers are going to have to really work together to try and go through them side by side, it's definitely going to be difficult if you find yourself in a two-wide situation. Let's take a look at the Drivers' Championship, though. We've got Johan Vandenbelt, who's having a good season so far, 2 podiums in the first 2 races. He is on 34 points. Not far behind, though, Tuan Tran in his first full season, looking like he could challenge for the championship, 3 points back. Wojciech Potacek only 5 points back as well. He was challenging for the championship last season. Let's see what he can do this time around. Pierre Skaki, he is definitely the surprise of the season. He's a rookie here in this series, but he's 11 points back on 23. He's got no podiums yet, but he is looking very good, was challenging for the top 5 last time around. And of course, Robin Rosenvinge sitting about 14 points back. Let's see what he can do this time around. Then, of course, Richard, we've got the Teams Championship, which is equally close up at the top.
Yeah, we will have a look at that in a second. I just want to mention that both Johan and Tuan Tran featured on the podium in the last 2 races, so no surprise that they are at the top of the table. The other 2 that were on the podiums in the last couple of races were Robin Rosenfinger and Wojciech Potacek. Robin, I'm not seeing him here tonight by the looks of things, but we'll get into that. First of all, the teams. So the 2 Stupid Dogs Racing team are on 47 points. That is, in fact, Wojciech Potacek and I believe Brame. Vincent Brame is the other member of that team. Then in second place, 2B1 Racing on 45 points, 2 points back. Then in third place, the 4X Racing Team A. In fourth place, Team iRacing Sweden. They're on 22 points, so they're 25 points back. And Blackadder Motorsports, which is a team well known to us, Joe, they are on 20 points, 27 points back. So that's the top 5 in the team championship.
I need to remember to try and ask Wojciech and his teammate whether 2 Stupid Dogs is in reference to the 90s cartoon, what they named their team. So we've taken a look at the lap guide. Now, what about talking about a little bit more in depth on this track, Richard? I feel like passing zones, just about this is Kevin's favorite line, the whole track is a passing zone, and that seems to be pretty much true here. There's a lot of heavy braking areas on this track.
Well, that's correct, and particularly with 3 chicanes to negotiate, it depends on how feisty the drivers are, but certainly if you can get up on the inside of someone and kind of force them a little wide into the chicane, they're going to have a horrible time trying to negotiate the chicanes from a very, very compromised inside line. So yes, correct. Officially, the best passing zone, I guess, would be at the end of the very long back straight, but there are a number of other straightaways that lead onto or lead into chicanes where certainly there's enough draft to get you alongside and to attempt a pass. So I tend to agree with you. Pretty much every braking zone could be considered a passing opportunity.
As we watch Frederick Neptune put his car upside down as he goes into the barrier during qualifying, drivers are still putting their laps in. We got a few more minutes left before they are complete on that. Now, you mentioned cutting that last chicane, and I have no doubt that we're going to see some drivers do that because it's so easy to go in there a little too hot. But the area that I'm curious to see is who is going to meet the wall of champions? That seems to be the big talking point, and probably one of the fan favorites to see who dares and who gets too close.
Well, that's correct. And of course, just for the viewers, the wall of champions is the exit from the hairpin. In fact, that's correct, isn't it, Joe?
No, it's the final chicane, the exit of the final chicane, actually.
Oh, sorry. Yes, the exit of the final chicane. Yeah, it is very easy to overcook it into that final chicane. I think that the hairpin, even though you slow down to, in these cars, probably first gear, I would imagine, coming around the hairpin, it is still easy to touch that outside wall there. But certainly the wall of champions, you're coming in at high speed, you've got to time it exactly right. The right hand section, then the left hand section, then the right hand section, and the exit. To get the fastest speed, of course, you have to go as wide as possible. We're looking at that right now, certainly on the iRacing screen, and it is so easy to hit that barrier there.
Well, we've got a lot of names to get through. Qualifying is over, so let's run through the grid. Surprise on the pole. We haven't seen this name up here. Jonas Blix as the fastest time. Marcel Seidel is going to start in second, and Tuan Tran will start third. Then it's Johan Vandenbelt in fourth, Joachim Lundgren in fifth, and Pierre Skaki will round out the top six, Richard.
Yep, Wojciech Podacek in seventh, Mikhail Engstrom eighth, Vincent Brame ninth, Eric Leukel in 10th, Steven Inskip in 11th place, and Bastian Huisman in 12th place, Joe.
Then it's David Burns starting 13th, Liam Quinn in 14th, and Nanadu Leap in 15th. Stefan Schmidt will start in 16th with Richard Coulomb in 17th. And then finally, Stephen Paul in 18th. Richard?
Frederick Neptune in 19th place, Daniel DeVos in 20th, Francis Dore in 21st, Tony Hayes 22nd, Lorne Murray 23rd, Adam Bradshaw 24th, and I'll just finish this off, Joe. Martin Tilstra in 25th, Struan Wilkie in 26th, Andy Morgan, who's back in 27th with no qualifying time. We'll have to see if he takes the grid. He has taken the grid, yes.
So a full grid of 27 cars, a lot of people out there, a bigger field than we're used to seeing last season, but it's going to definitely give us some good racing throughout the field. We're waiting for the lights to come up, and then we are going to go green for 45 minutes here in round 3 of the Formula Neagle Cup. There you see the grid all filled up way down there, bigger than any of the F1 fields that we've seen here on this track, with 27 of them working their way down towards that chicane. There's the lights, waiting for them to turn red. Then they'll turn green and we'll go racing. Red lights are up. Green lights are out, and we are off. Marcel Seidel, Jonas Blitz is leading the way, with Marcel Seidel getting a pretty good start, but not enough to challenge down into this first corner. Known for its pileups, Tuan Tran in third, although he's getting overtaken, almost makes contact with Johan Vandenbelt. They made contact at the last race, but they avoided it this time in the first corner. And it looks like everybody is clean through, Richard, on those first two turns.
Yes, looking right from the rear there, from the car of Andy Morgan. Everyone got through turn 1 cleanly. They are bunching up a little going into turn 2. So at this stage, a very, very good start, we can say, Joe.
As they work their way now through turn 7, another corner with a wall right there on the outside on this street course. Already Jonas Blix putting himself a nice gap between himself and Seidel, who has Johan Vandenbelt, who had a great start. Started in 4th and worked himself up into 3rd, now down into turn 8 actually, and getting right up close. In fact, our top 3 are all together. We could see a pass for the lead down into the hairpin, Richard.
Yeah, we certainly could. And from the rear, there was some argy-bargy going on between a few of the drivers. But at this stage, still nice and clean. Jonas Blix, Joe, never seen him before in this series in any of the races, leading this race, followed by Marcel Seidel and Tuan Tran, Tuan Tran is in a battle here side by side with who is that next to him?
Looks like that's Stefan Schmidt actually next to him at the moment, and that blue and green machine as they head down the backstretch. What happened to Tran? He was in 3rd, or he started in 3rd. We got a slowdown penalty we're hearing, and Stefan Schmidt backs out of it, and in fact is under attack from Neptune. Oh, and
someone went into the pits there, Joe.
That was Tran.
Yeah, it was indeed. So now the whole situation has changed around. Johan van der Belt has got into 3rd place now, and they bunched up a little bit first, second, and third, so that's good. They can race each other there. Piers Cocky a little way back, as we've seen in previous races, but now in 5th place, Joachim Lundgren from the Swedish team, I think, in there in 5th place.
Lundgren doing quite well, but Pierre Skaki has taken 2 positions. He wasn't looking terribly fast in practice. He was only, excuse me, no, I take that back. He was second fast in practice, so he was actually looking very good, but certainly looking quite good here in the race. Let's see what he can do, currently sitting in 5th at the moment with Lundgren right behind him, now down into the braking of 8. And it looks like he actually feels a need to go defensive. That allows Potacek to close right up behind him. He gets a good exit coming out of that chicane. Now down into the hairpin, looking for a way to go, looking to the left. He's going to try and maybe look to the inside, but instead it looks like Lundgren goes defensive. Oh, and outbraking himself, it's Kaki. There might have been a little bit of contact between Lundgren and Potacek. I couldn't quite tell, but that demotes Kaki 2 positions in 1 corner.
Yeah. He went very wide. Now he's coming back on Potacek of the Stupid Dogs, and Lundgren meanwhile going up the middle of the track here. They're both coming at him. There goes Potacek. They come to the braking area for the last chicane. The Wall of Champions is looking at them. They managed to avoid the Wall of Champions, and it looks like Potacek got away with the 2 positions there on Koki and Lundgren.
Yep, that is going to move Potacek up into 4th, but it's not over yet. Behind him, Lundgren manages to hold off Koki, who had the inside, but decides to back out of it as they come into 1 and 2. Very difficult corner to execute that pass there, Richard.
Oh, absolutely. All the corners here are difficult, Joe. Meanwhile, let's go back to the front here where Marcel Seidel is right behind Jonas Blix. Now, we don't know Jonas Blix, but certainly he's got a turn of speed, Joe. He's leading this race and leading it well, but Marcel Seidel coming at him. The gap remains fairly constant at this stage, and Johan van der Belt also behind Seidel. They're a pretty constant gap, so that's your top 3, and looks like they're just feeling each other out in the early laps of this race.
Now let's stay on this battle for the lead here, but just a heads up, Francis Dore, this was his first time back. Unfortunately, already in the first couple laps he has gotten damaged, and it's 32 minutes of repair, so he is not going to be able to get back out on this race. Sad to see. In the meantime, Johan van der Belt closing up on the back of Jonas Blix, but not able to do it as they come around the hairpin. But
hang on, that was Seidel, Joe, not Blix. Blix is leading.
No, actually, excuse me. I thought Andy, pardon me, my timing and scoring was lying to me. You're correct. Blix is leading, Seidel is in 2nd, and van der Belt is in 3rd.
Yes, that's correct. Now, let's have a look at Seidel. He's closing. Well, now the gap's pretty constant. Now they come to the final chicane once again. Very nicely through is Blix. Marcel Seidel took a little bit of the curb there. That's not good. I'm not sure. I haven't done any testing in this car here, Joe. But I would imagine that those curbs might eventually start hurting these cars.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to take too much of them too often. Meanwhile, the fan belt moves himself up into 2nd with an excellent move down into 1 over Seidel. Seidel's not done with him yet, still only 2/10 behind. Takes a little bit of a peek down into turn 3, but nothing doing there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was one of the cleanest passes I've ever seen. It was just almost casual Johan van der Belt over Seidel there. Seidel didn't fight back at all. Now, Johan van der Belt can go ahead and have a look at. He does get a bit loose there in the first set of chicanes, but let me tell you, he's looking a bit feisty, trying to get on terms there with Jonas Blix.
I've jumped a little bit farther back in the field where we had some action going on between Huisman and Engstrom, but he dropped off, and now he's got Vincent Brame closing up behind him. This is for 9th, 8th, and 7th between these 3 drivers. Into the braking down into 8, and Brame is not able to do anything. Here's a driver, we said this last week, Brame, we're used to seeing him farther up in the field, but he's sitting down in 9th. It's unusual to see him in the mid-pack.
Yeah, that's true. Last season he was certainly, or appeared to be a lot further up there, faster than some of the other guys. This season, I don't know, Joe. Maybe it's just he's been caught out by some of these tracks. Maybe he doesn't like these opening set of tracks here, but certainly further back than we're used to seeing him at the moment. Meanwhile, Engstrom and Lundgren have they've kind of moved up this season, and they are now sort of top 5 runners these days.
And you can see on your screen, Neagle is trying to challenge Brame, but just took a little bit of a peek and then got back into line. Didn't think it was worth trying to stick it too wide through the final chicane. Both of them execute it nicely, just streaming it right up to the wall. But back up front, it's gotten close once again with the fan belt now right on the back of Jonas Blixt.
Yeah, that's correct. And he is certainly going to be challenging very soon. Marcel Seidel is in 3rd place. And he's having just a quiet run behind these two, assessing, no doubt, the situation. Maybe he's not assessing, maybe he's being dropped off. Who knows? We shall find out very soon. But the fan belt now very, very close, much closer than anybody's been to Jonas Blixt before. So Jonas now has to watch his rear view mirrors, and that is a good thing for Johan van der Belt. Now Johan coming right up on the rear end. Will he try something here, Joe? He might. He goes, he has a peek on the inside there, decides the better of it, Joe. And that's why he's going into that chicane there.
We ride on the roll bar with Johan at the moment. He didn't lose too much ground through that chicane, though, despite him deciding to back out. This is going to be more of a straightforward passing zone down into the casino hairpin. He takes a look once again, but once more, he backs out of it. This is interesting. I'm not sure if he's maybe deciding to try and save some fuel in the draft or what he's doing here, but I would think he's had a few opportunities. Now, once again, coming out, he's got a great toe. He is right up behind Jonas once again. Is he finally going to make the move here, Richard?
Yeah. This is the place to do it, Joe, because of the these cars. The draft is huge with these cars, but you got to try and clear the opponent before you get into the braking zone of this chicane, which he does do. And that was a nice clean pass. Now we'll see if Jonas Blixt can do the same next time by when they go down that back straight there. Jonas already closing up as they come now into turn number 1. Then he backs out of it. See, with these very, very tight corners and chicanes, they're not the best passing zones. You can do it, but Joe, these guys have respect for the chicanes, and they're not trying to do the passes just approaching the chicanes.
Not a lot of runoff room around here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, so these guys obviously feeling that maybe they want to try and get to the end instead of risk their car. So, Johan van der Belt now up into the lead, Jonas Blixt down into 2nd, Marcel Seidel still cruising behind them, a little ways back, about a 2nd behind in 3rd. Let's look a little bit farther down the field and try to find ourselves a nice close battle. I see Joachim Lundgren still is quite close to Engstrom. He hasn't given up that fight for 6th place.
Well, that's right. There's a group of cars from Lundgren, and in fact Engstrom, then Lundgren behind Engstrom. Those are teammates. Then Vincent Brame not that far behind that Swedish team. Then you've got Erik Neagle, and also Heisman is in there a little further back. Back to the lead, I'm hearing.
Yeah, Blixt making a move. Oh, and actually Johan goes way outside trying to avoid contact. Obviously not sure where Blixt was on him, and that lost him quite a bit of ground. So now Seidel is able to close up on both of these guys with that battling going on. Blixt back into the lead here on lap 6.
Yeah, very, very crucial move there by Blixt. What happened, no doubt, I think you called it correctly. Johan van der Belt could not see Blixt, and if you can't see your opponent and you don't know where they are, this is not like real life racing where you can feel them and hear them around you. It's more difficult to find out where they are. So he went wide, wisely so, in case there might be a contact that could be avoided. So he can race another few laps and have another go at Blixt, I should say, without any possible damage to his car. Meanwhile, Marcel Seidel still keeping about the same distance, Joe, back in 3rd place there. And certainly he is not out of contention. A mistake from the two in front, and Marcel Seidel will be right in it.
Certainly sitting in the proverbial catbird seat a little bit farther down. Vincent Brame is right on the back of Mikael Engstrom now, who's dropped back from his teammate. They're heading down towards turn 6 through the fast right-hander of 5. Looks like he lost a little bit of ground as they work their way around there, so he's not going to be able to execute a pass now, but still, he is absolutely hassling Mikael at this point as they head onto the backside of the course.
Correct. And meanwhile, just moving up a couple of spots there, Piers Cocky and Wojciech Podacek, they're not that far behind the leading group, the podium cars, if you like. These guys could be right in it, particularly once the pit stops go. Go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, I thought we were going to have another pass for the lead. Johan looking into the hairpin where he lost it last lap, but he decides to not do it there. We've seen this from him before. Had an opportunity, but decides to wait here for the long backstretch. And Blixt going defensive, holding on to the inside. But interestingly, Johan's not staying in his draft as we ride on his roll bar. So I guess he backed out of it. He lifted.
Yeah. It didn't seem like it was the opportune position for him to be in to try the pass. He was out on the outside there. He was out of the draft. He decided to not do anything and allowed Blixt to continue without any challenge. So he'll try again. Make no mistake. He knows now that he can match speed with Jonas Blixt. Jonas can't get away from him, so he'll just sit there. Bear in mind, we're only on lap 8.
It sounds like on lap 8 we've got a battle for with Burns here. Let's see. Oh, excuse me. No, we're hearing that David Burns is wrecked. Let's go and see what has happened. He's usually about a mid-pack runner. He's sitting in the pits right now. Let's look at that replay. Oh, and he is the first victim of today, I think, of the Wall of Champions. Just a little bit too hard on that second curb and smashes into that wall.
The Wall of Champions. Yeah. It's just a wrong place for a wall to be, Joe.
Or depending on your philosophy of designing tracks, the correct place to be definitely punishes drivers who get a little bit too greedy on certain parts of the course. So that put Burns out of this race. And speaking of the pits, you mentioned the exit, but I feel like the entry is going to be a very key point. We've seen drivers, as well as just general strategy, Richard, we've seen drivers lose out by not really knowing how to execute pit stops.
Oh, absolutely, and this is the situation that I was going to refer to with Van der Belt and Jonas Blixt. Now, Jonas Blixt is unknown to us. We know that Johan Van der Belt and Seidel, Podacek, these guys have been doing this series now 2 seasons, and they know what is involved in a pit stop. It remains to be seen whether Blixt knows how to execute a fast pit stop alongside these guys. So I just feel that Johan is now decided, okay, we're 8 laps in. The elapsed time is something like 17 minutes here, 18 minutes. Plenty of time for me to make any moves on this guy in front of me. I don't know whether, in fact, Johan and some of the other drivers know Jonas, so they may well just be waiting their opportunity.
Yes, those of you who are new to the series, as we continue to watch this battle for the lead with Blixt in front. Oh, excuse me, we've jumped back to P6 where we've got a gaggle of cars. This is Lundgren, Engstrom, Brim, Lukal, and Huseman all close together, about within a second and a half of each other. Just no space between the cars. That in the green car, that is Brame, who is under threat from Lukal. He goes a little bit defensive, goes back to the line. Lukal trying to look, but can't quite outbrake him. He gets a little bit loose. Huseman has a look. He might be able to out-accelerate him down the backside of the course, and I think he's going to be able to get it as he looks to the inside.
Yep, Huseman going to the inside, approaching the second chicane there, and he's clear past, so that will... Lukal will probably wait, and now they go into that chicane. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars all battling for position here. The first of those is Mikael Engstrom. He is in 6th place, so really the 6th place is up for grabs as we see them going into the hairpin there. That's very, very close. These are teammates, one on the other. That's Lundgren just behind Engstrom, just in front there. Obviously they're going to be respectful of each other, but they're still battling for position. So we're looking at Lundgren at the moment going to the inside now. Will he get by? Looks like he will get by. There's plenty of draft for him to use there. He's in the correct position on the inside. His partner backs out there. His teammate backs out and allows him to take that position. Woo! He's going to the wall.
He got that oh so close, and that bad exit is going to give his teammate Mikael Engstrom a chance to try and get by on the inside. Vincent Brame also taking a look, but I think he's too far back. But look at Lundgren. I think he made severe contact through the hairpin with his teammate, and his front wing and rear wing looks quite damaged.
Oh, a little bit of a touch there between Vincent Brame and Lundgren. So those were wheels touching, so no damage done there, but certainly, you can get spun around by that. So I think that Mikael Engstrom is probably in the best position out of these three, but not that far behind them. There's a whole gaggle still. Now with Huisman, the car just behind Vincent Brame, but Eric Neagle is still in there, and they're 5 cars, just line astern, as you like to say, Joe. Anything could happen here.
Definitely not working together. Guys swapping positions left and right. Still, though, Engstrom holds the lead of this group. Oh, and Brame cuts the corner. Huisman almost got into him. They're going to go 3 wide as they split him. Huisman on the outside, Lucal on the inside. Now he's able to get going after serving his penalty. Huisman comes out on top and moves himself up into 8th. Nice heads up from him. Goes a little bit wide through the hairpin, though, so he might lose the position to Lucal.
Yeah, these guys are racing hard. Meanwhile, just a quick look back to the front here. We see Johan van der Belt. My word, he's right on the rear end and he backs out. So certainly he's driving to a plan here, Joe. He's not attacking just to get P1. And this is what you got to do. You've got to have a plan for these races. These races are quite long, 45 minutes. It's not over in a flash. You've got to have a pit stop as well during the course of the race. So you can't race without a plan, and that is what Johan van der Belt appears to be doing right now.
Absolutely, and as we watch these two leaders still playing the mental game of chess, I wanted to touch on that point that I started earlier. Even though the series, for those who are new, is called Absolute Beginners, it is not completely composed of absolute beginners. There is a variety of skills, and what the series does is introduces drivers and teaches them, allows them to learn certain skills. So you can be a veteran or you could be a complete rookie here, and they will invite you in and try to raise your game. And guys that have raised their game here at the front, you can see as Blixt goes defensive down the backstretch. Johan van der Belt still looking to the inside, but he backs out of it by the time they hit the braking for 8, still electing to stay behind the leader.
Yeah, he showed his nose there, and that's just to show Jonas, hey, I am here. You make one mistake, buddy, and I will have your P1 position, but not necessarily am I going to force the issue with you right now. So we'll see what happens as they come out of the hairpin now. We can see it very tough in these cars here. These cars, Joe, entry-level cars for open wheelers. Very, very good car to start your racing if open wheelers is your choice. Now we see Johan van der Belt going to the inside. This time he's going to go for it. He takes the position. He's clearly past Jonas. Still a long way to the braking zone. Now they come into the braking zone, and he's got position. He'll take P1, and now let's see if he elects to try and get away from Jonas Blixt, which is not that possible with the draft here, but certainly maybe he can come, be in command of the race from P1 instead of P2.
The draft certainly is giving opportunities if Jonas wants to try and get back ahead of Johan. He was looking a little bit, peeking to the side, but nowhere to go. Now they come down to turn 3, can possibly sneak a pass in here, but Jonas decides to hold back. And interestingly, behind this, because of them not battling for a while and Johan waiting to try and execute that pass, they have almost 2 seconds over Marcel Seidel. So they've got a little bit of breathing room if they do start to battle again. And Seidel does not seem to have the pace to hold on to these leaders today, Richard.
Well, that's correct. He's slowly dropped back a little bit. He's only 2 seconds back from the leader the last time by, so he's not that far back, even though it looks a little bit more than 2 seconds to me right now. But the other two are definitely faster, and the reason for that, Joe, is once you drop out of the draft, you will find that if you've got 2 cars using the draft on each other, that you will be dropped like a stone. which is kind of what is happening to Seidel. So he needs to put in a few good laps. Hopefully the two in front of him will battle with each other, which will slow them down and get him back into the draft so that he can join the battle with these two. But right now, he's just a little bit too far back to utilize any draft.
He's closing in, not making any signs that he's going to attempt to pass, and he decides to stay back. Meanwhile, I was looking a little bit farther down in the pack. I saw that Lauren Murray is actually right on the rear of Bernardo Leap, and that is for 12th position. I'm not sure if he's going to try and hassle him for it, but he's certainly given him something to think about. They head down into the hairpin. This is where he needs to focus on that good exit to get himself an opportunity.
Yeah, he went for a very tight turn in there, which actually lost him a little bit of time because the car, will need to be slower coming out of the turn. But now he's got the draft. He goes to the outside, which is perhaps gonna work for him. He's clearly passed, but under braking, Ulep might come back at him. Ulep decides not to do that, so he gets away with that one and moves up one position.
Lauren really squeezed him there. He was not all the way to the left side of the track, which I found interesting. Still, they managed to make it through. As we were watching that, though, Blixt did retake the lead from Vandenbelt, and we're hearing that Vincent Brame has pitted.
Yes, I was about to mention that. Vincent Brame, in fact, coming out of the pits now. Looks to me like a regulation pit stop, as we see the situation that I spoke about, an approaching car going into turn one and Vincent Brame coming out of the pits there. That was all nice and clean. The car ahead, which is in fact Tuan Tran. That's Tuan Tran. Now, what happened to Tuan Tran? He is just so far down. My memory is not telling me what happened to Tuan Tran.
We'll talk about that in a moment. On screen, we're looking at a battle between Pierre Skaki and Wojciech Podacek. That's for P4, as Pierre tries to come back at him with a great exit out of the hairpin, and he is going to be easily able to out-drag him before the final chicane.
Correct, and he's got the inside line, and Podacek has no other option but to just fall in behind. But watch how he comes up to his rear under the draft. There goes Podacek into the pit, so that was all academic there.
Electing to stay away from this battle. We also had another lead swap. The fan belt is back up ahead of Jonas Blix. These two have been swapping back and forth now. It seems like every lap. But let's stay on this. But I do want to talk about Tuan Tran. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe he doesn't like this track. We know that he got a slowdown before. He might have gotten some more since we saw him, or maybe he had an incident where he spun or something. But regardless, he is definitely struggling around here. We know he has the speed because he qualified pretty high up. So whatever the case, it just seems like this is a track that doesn't jive with Tran.
Yeah, and that's certainly the case with many drivers. There are tracks, well, we all like certain tracks, and there are all tracks that we don't like. This could be right. Tuan Tran may not like this at all. But just ahead of Tran at the moment, I'm just having a look. There's a 4-car little battle going on here, Joe. The rear end is the rear of this 4 cars is Richard Coulomb, and then we've got Ulep in front of him, and in front of him Lorne Murray and Neagle, who we've mentioned before. But 4 cars here, and this could be quite an interesting battle to keep an eye on as we go further into the race.
As you said, Lucal in P9, currently leading this pack of 4. Nobody trying anything, coming through 6 and 7. Actually starting to stretch apart a little bit, it looks like, as they come around the back side of the course. So nobody's really got an opportunity. I want to see what Tuan Tran can do for these guys. Last lap was a 154 flat for Tuan, and the cars ahead was a 157. So Tuan should be catching them at a rate of knots, and actually you can see
Joe,
he is
got
now.
a break in here. Let's go back to the Lundgren-Huisman battle. These 3 cars, they were very close. One's gone into the pits now, one of the Swedish, but we still have a battle here between Bastian Huisman and Joachim Lundgren. Looks like Bastian is slightly ahead going into turn 1, and looks like he will move himself up one position. Lundgren right behind him as they exit turn number 1. This is very tight racing at the moment. Lundgren and his teammate were ahead of Heisman. Heisman doing a great job here, and he has moved himself up whilst the pit stops are still happening. So these guys still have to make their pit stops, obviously, Joe.
And Huseman has a more intact car than Lundgren. As you can see, he still has that damage. Interestingly, as this was happening, Johan Vanderbilt did come in for a stop, but Jonas Blixt elected to stay out. So let's see if maybe Johan could get himself some space now that he's got clear track. There's no one in front of him to slow him down at the moment. In fact, the next car up is Lundgren in 5th.
Yeah, correct. He's got his pit stop behind him now. He's all fueled up and ready to go to the end of the race. We are on lap number 15. There's about 30 minutes gone in the race, so 2/3 of the race done and only the last third to go. And the guys in front of him, all 3 of them in front of him, still have to make their pit stop. So he's in a good position if he can just push hard now to get some clean, fast laps, Joe.
So as we watch our leader, let's see if he comes in this time by. Is he going to answer? No, he does not. He elects to stay out. So I wonder if he's trying to run some hot laps as well. Jonas Blixt out there in his blue and yellow Skippy. Now, I was looking at Tuan Tran because I know that he was closing up on the cars in front. He's now sitting in 11th. He is right behind Anad Ulip, who elects to go defensive into the hairpin. This could hurt him, though. There's the over-under from Tran trying to get himself a good launch, and I think he's going to have him down the backstretch easily.
Yeah, Tran moving up slowly. He's in 12th position now, and possibly having just passed Ulip. If he gets away with this, he will be up to 11th position. Lorne Murray, Eric Leukel, who are drivers that he has been well ahead of in previous races. He is slowly moving up, maybe becoming a little bit more comfortable now as the laps wear down.
And Tran is actually up into the top 10 at this moment as he passes Nanad Ulip. Just about a second up the road to get Lauren Murray, but as we said, his lap time's looking a lot faster than these guys, so I think it's only a matter of time. As he is coming through, though, these got cars exiting. That's going to make it a little bit trickier as they come out side by side. That is the car of Bastian Huseman that he is battling now. Huseman actually has to give it up and lets Tran through. Oh, but now he's under threat from Ulip, who takes a little bit of a look down into 3. He gives him room, but no contact, and Bastian holds on to the position. He is sitting in 10th.
Yeah, look, that car's all over the place when the pit stops start to happen. Anything is possible. Meanwhile, Jonas Blixt still out there, Joe. Will he come in on this lap? One would imagine he must be very, very close on fuel at this stage. Will he go straight ahead? Yes, he does. He's going into the pits. Here is our leader. Now let's keep an eye on Johan van der Belt and see where he is in relation to Jonas Blixt.
Also coming in just behind him, you saw Marcel Seidel. Pierre Skaki, though, elects to continue on. He should be able to lead a lap, but he still has to take his stop. As you said, where is Vandenbelt?
Vandenbelt is coming up to the last chicane right now, which is also the entry to pit lane, so he's negotiating the last chicane as we speak, Joe.
Now coming past the wall of champions, coming across the line, Blixt still in his stall, still stationary, isn't moving. He's still stationary, and Vandenbelt is well by.
Yeah, this is the difference, Joe, between which we referred to it early on. Jonas Blixt, perhaps a newcomer to the well, he is a newcomer to the series. Doesn't know perhaps the pitting or the pit stop strategies as well as do the others. And look what has happened. Johan van der Belt with a nice gap now to Jonas Blixt, well and truly out of draft range. This is what Johan van der Belt would have been working for from the beginning of the race.
Now, what's interesting about this, though, is Marcel Seidel has been around a while in this league, so he knows how to execute these pit stops, and he was in the stops about the same amount of time as Jonas Blixt, which makes me wonder, put my tinfoil hat on, did Johan short stop? Did he take too little?
Well, interesting, but we have to think that Johan van der Belt, nicknamed the Fan Belt, has done it all many times before. I can't see him short fueling to try and get a little advantage there. He could, but we'll have to wait and see, as there are only now something like 13-14 minutes left in this race, Joe. Johan van der Belt clearly in the lead now over the others. Lundgren is the only one that was ahead of him. He's coming into pits now, so I think that'll be all the leaders having pitted. So it's going to be interesting to see what the gaps are when this settles down.
As well as Pierre Skaki, who was in the lead, taking his stop and heading in. So with Johan van der Belt heading on by, he is going to retake the lead. And Joachim Lundgren is scored in second, but that's going to move his way down, as it's now Jonas Blixt being scored, I'm seeing, in second place. So with 12 minutes left to go, a few cars stretching it as far as they could go, electing to pit at the very end, hoping maybe for some clear track before they come in and take some fuel. So we're getting down to the dying stages right now. It's looking like Johan, who had a 12-second stop versus the 15-second stop of Jonas Blixt, has it in his hands. The race is his to lose, Richard. Question is, can he get it to the end on the fuel that he took?
Look, I'm pretty sure he can. We'll have to wait and see, but he's got a 6-second gap now on the second place, which is Jonas Blixt. And I'd like to see where Piers Cocky and, in fact, Marcel Seidel in particular where they come out in relation to Blixt. But Blixt now in a second position, which is well down, 6 seconds from our leader. So well done so far, Johan. Let's see if it works out for you.
You mentioned Pierre Skaki. He came out in fourth place. All the leaders, in fact, all cars have now made their stops. And we've seen this from Pierre's. He's definitely a top 5 runner. He's been up there. He's got some speed, but he can't quite seem to hold on with the pace of the leaders. So I kind of wonder if he'd be able to maybe find that last little oomph of speed and maybe be able to challenge for wins at some point. He's certainly looking like a rookie to look out for in later stages of either the championship or maybe next season.
Quite correct. He's done a great job. Now, I'm having a look here at Wojciech Podacek. It's a mystery to me why he is so far back. A few others as well, Tuan Tran, Vincent Brame, but Wojciech certainly is a podium driver, capable of putting his car on the podium. He is sitting back now in, where is he? Wojciech Podacek disappeared.
No, it looks like he's still on screen. It might be connection issues on your end. In fact, he's having a bit of trouble. He's got a lap car of Strawn Wilkie, who doesn't seem to be letting him by. So I'm not sure if he's getting... There we go. Now he lifts and lets him on through. So that might have been slowing him down a little bit. But Wojciech is, as you said, he's not as high up as we expected. He's taken a podium already, and he's actually only 5 points back from Johan in the championship. So this is not going to help him finishing 5th, but won't hurt him too badly. He's just going to have to hustle in other races to get a little higher up.
Yep, and let's have a look at the standings at the moment. So Johan van der Belt now leading the race by very close to 6 seconds over Jonas Blixt, a newcomer to the series here. Marcel Seidel, who I'm driving along with right now, is in 3rd place. He's 8 seconds back from the leader. So he is only 2 seconds from Jonas Blixt. He has an opportunity to try and do battle for that 2nd place position. Piers Cocky, Joe, is in 4th place. Wojciech, yeah, I have found him again. He is in 5th place, but he's well back, nearly 20 seconds back. And Piers Cocky 11 seconds back. So really, 2nd place is where a possible battle might be for between Jonas Blixt and Marcel Seidel, although all day Blixt has been faster than Seidel.
We'll have to see if Seidel can maybe capitalize on any sort of mistake that Jonas
Joe,
might
go back.
make.
Forget about that. Go back to the Lundgren and Lukel battle. Here is some good battling going on here.
Yeah, they've got lap cars that they're working their way through as Strawn Rilke once again finds himself in the way of Mikael Engstrom. And unfortunately, because he had to check up so much, now he has Vincent Brame behind him. This is for position. This is for 8th place. And it looks like
Brame
he's going to be able to
gets
get
away
it. Yeah. Opportunistic stuff from Brame. Saw it coming. Accelerated hard out of that final chicane, and he moves himself into 8th over Engstrom. Now, before it was teammates battling of Lundgren and Engstrom, but he's a ways up the road, about 3 seconds. Still, Lundgren has the car of Eric Lukal, and that is actually 4th position as well between them for 6th place.
That is correct. And in front of Lukal, in fact, we've got Wojciech Podacek. So this is a 3-way battle for the 5th place to get into that top 5. It's not over yet. There's about 5 minutes left here. We see... Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, here comes Lundgren. We wired on board. Now we hop off of Lundgren's car, and he's got Lukal cleanly down into turn 8. That was a great move, just out-accelerating him out of the corner.
Correct. And now, of course, Lundgren has got Wojciech Podacek in his sights, and that is a battle there for 5th place. Wojciech will do everything he can to hang on to that 5th place. Top 5 figures. Here comes Lundgren. He gets a very, very good exit. I don't think that Podacek is going to be able to withstand the onslaught here from Lundgren. Lundgren already by, and they haven't reached the kink in the straight just yet. But now, that being the case, there's an opportunity for Vincent Brame to come back, but he goes to the outside. He's not going to get it done from there. No, sir. He'll have to back out of it. I imagine he's not backing out, Joe. They go in side by side into the final chicane. That is very risky stuff, but they both get away with it. And just behind them now, we've got, who is that? Eric Lukal wanting to get into the action as well. 3 wide, Joe, as they come towards turn 1.
Podacek in the middle of Lundgren and Lukal. He's got the inside now as Lukal backs out of it. They're still too wide. There might have been slight contact through that final chicane. Still, Lundgren holds on to that position, managing to defend from Podacek, who is now under threat from Lukal. Has the inside down into turn 3. He's able to finally slide into position, and all this battling has allowed Mikael Engstrom to close up on the back of him, as well as Vincent Brame. So we're going to have a 5-car battle. We've got 5 minutes left to go, so everybody is in go mode here in the dying stages, trying to get whatever position they can before the checkered flag falls.
Fantastic racing from all of these guys here. You've got Podacek, you've got Lukal, you've got Engstrom, Vincent Brame not that far back either. Here comes Engstrom once again on, let me see, that is one of the green cars, so that
Podacek.
has got to be this Podacek.
Contact!
Touch.
A huge slide from Podacek. He actually cuts the course because he was forced off. They're going to go 3 wide. That's his teammate Vincent Brame on the outside of them, which is going to switch to the inside once they hit the... Oh, and they make contact again! All 3 come together in a pile before they can even hit the braking zone. They're going to have to limp it home.
Podacek upside down now on the side of it. That was so unfortunate, but very, very tight, Joe, coming in into the a very tight corner there, one of the chicanes. Never going to work out as we get all of that on replay.
Yeah, and that all kicked off from that contact that caused Podacek to slide into turn 8. And you see nobody willing to give each other enough room into that corner just meant that it was like dominoes as everybody falls down. And as you said, we had a car on its roof, unfortunately, after that one. So let's go through the order after all that. Lundgren is in 5th after that battle. Lukal still in 6th. Mikael Engstrom manages to hold on to 7th. Brame is in 8th, but he is going to move way down the order as he is now into the pits. And Tuan Tran is going to overtake that position, although he's got Steven Inskup just behind him in 9th, trying to take that away from him. So that has shuffled things up, but Treat in the midfield. But we're sad to see cars make contact so close to the end.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in the closing stages, and we can't be too far away from the last lap, Johan van der Belt leading, and the gap is now 6.6 seconds, so he's certainly not saving fuel, Joe. Jonas Blixt in 2nd place, as we said, 6 seconds back, and then, of course, Marcel Seidel in 3rd place. So Marcel has moved himself onto the podium Fourth place now being held down by Piers Cocky, and the fifth place, as you mentioned, was Joachim Lundgren. So that's your top 5 right now. There's still some battles going on very, very much behind that, as we see Lukel still trying to take away the position from Lundgren. So fifth place not done and dusted yet, Joe, still up for grabs.
I was going to say, we need to give some credit to Lundgren if he can pull off this top 5. We're used to seeing him in the top 10, but this is some new heights for Lundgren, who has just been doing a great job, especially with a damaged car as we ride on board with Lukel. Got a great draft. He's on the inside. This is probably going to be a slam dunk, but this race is not going to be over. Oh, and actually, it's not a slam dunk as Lundgren tries to come back on the outside, but he decides it's not worth trying to go too wide through the final corner, and he gives that top 5 position to Lukel. Now, we mentioned Pierre's cocky. He is about 2.6 seconds back from Seidel still, so he's just off the podium, but has not been able to put in the laps to try and chase down that third-place car.
Well, the time is just about done, so the next lap, undoubtedly, Joe, will be the last lap. Johan van der Belt leading this race. He has done something like 42 minutes of racing, so there might be 2 laps left in this, but we'll see. Jonas Blix now 6.1 seconds, so Jonas has fought back a little bit, taken about half a second back from Johan van der Belt, but certainly nowhere near enough for him to be able to catch him. Marcel Seidel has not been able to do anything to catch Jonas Blix, and he's sitting back in third, probably at this stage content with a third place position. Everyone else, Joe, in their positions right now, the gaps are too large for them to make up any position, but we can go back to Lukel and Lundgren, because that is where there will be a battle still.
Lundgren has taken that 5th position back. He's defending, coming down into the hairpin, trying to hold on, get himself a good position. This could hurt him out of the corner, though. Lukel does not try and attack. Let's see if he squares it off, gets himself a good run. And it looks like Lundgren did a decent job despite the terrible entry that he had from that defense, but it's not enough to try and break the draft from Lukel. He's going to start to reel him in once again.
Yeah, this is the battle for 5th position. We've mentioned it before. They're on the backstretch now. Lukel goes onto the outside. Not the best that's not the place to try and effect an overtaking maneuver. So Lundgren's got him covered at the moment. What Lundgren has got to do is this might well be the final lap coming up now, as we see that our leader has done more than 44 minutes of racing. So the next lap for our leader will be the last lap, I would imagine. Here's the battle. 5th position, Lukel versus Lundgren. Lukel behind at this stage. They come out of turn 1, so a whole lap to go. Can he do it? We'll have to see what happens on the backstretch, because that is where it's all going to unfold.
White flag is out. Let's stay on this battle, but I'm keeping half an eye on Johan van der Belt so that we can call his win. But for P5, it is still not decided. Joachim Lundgren just has about half a second over Lukel. All it's going to take is a good run from Lukel to get himself up into that top 5 position as they come out of 7. Isn't going to be able to get it done on the backside of the course as they come down to 8. He starts to drop, in fact, as Joachim gets himself a fantastic exit out of 7.
Yeah, I wanted to say that Joachim seemed to have things under control, but the draft, that is the unknown factor. The draft in the backstretch there at the moment, Lukel not close enough to try anything as they move down towards the hairpin here. He's got to get a good exit out of the hairpin, otherwise he's not going to make it. He does close up under braking on Lundgren. He's close enough now.
And we have to go to our leader. We have to go to our leader because Johan van der Belt is coming to the line. He's got a 6-second gap well clear of Jonas Blix. Johan the Fan Belt is going to win round 3 here in the Absolute Beginners Neagle Cup. Let's go back to that P5 battle.
It looks as if Lukel is not close enough. Lukel is going to have to be satisfied with a 6th place as Lundgren's got him covered. Lundgren was defensive or ready to go defensive in case Lukel tried something. He's not close enough, so it looks like this is how it will finish as they just have to run to the line now.
Well done to Joachim to hold on to that P5. Jonas Blix did come home in second. Seidel, finished and third to complete the podium, and Pierre Kaki once again with a great solid finish for his rookie machine in fourth. Neagle came home sixth, of course. Mikael Engstrom, let's talk about him too, with a nice seventh place finish. And Tuan Tran with a recovery drive back up to eighth, but you have to wonder what could have been for the Benelux driver. So as the rest of the field works its way through, looks like Daniel DeVos is going to be our last one on the lead lap, down in 13th. In fact, he is almost done. We are going to go to break. We'll come back with driver interviews as well as the unofficial results. And stick around, because on screen we're going to have upcoming broadcasts here on GSRC letting you know what kind of excitement is going to happen and when. Welcome back to Montreal Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, home of round 3 in the Absolute Beginners Formula Neagle Cup. Johan Vanderbilt took his second win of 3 races so far. Newcomer Jonas Blixt, we have to wonder what's going to come later on in the season. Second place in his first try. Then it's Marcel Seidel rounding out the podium. Pierre Skaki with another solid finish in 4th, and Joachim Lundgren with a great top 5, hard fought for that 5th position. Eric Lugel couldn't quite crack it and finished in 6th. Mikael Engstrom, the teammate to Lundgren, finished in 7th. Then it's Tuan Tran, who made early mistakes and slipped down the order, finished 8th. Steven Inskip, we didn't talk about him a lot. He managed a 9th, so a top 10 for him. And then Bastian Huseman, unfortunately with that contact late in the race, finished in 10th, Richard.
Yep, and 11th place went to Lorne Murray. Nanad Ulep, in his first or maybe second race that I've seen him in here, he finished in 12th place. Daniel DeVos in 13th. Richard Coulomb in 14th place. These guys from Richard Coulomb on downwards are lapped down. In 15th place we had Struan Wilkie, and in 16th place we had, this is now 3 laps down, Vincent Brame, very uncharacteristic. And Wojciech Podacek, who was involved in an accident with Vincent and someone else as well, he finished in 17th place. Martin Tilstra in 18th, Frederick Neptune 19th, and Joe Stefan Schmidt finished in 20th place, 13 laps down.
Obviously, pretty much all of these cars did not finish in typical fashion for this track. Very punishing and not allowing very many drivers to make it to the end. David Burns finished in 21st. Adam Bradshaw 22nd. Andy Morgan 23rd. Stephen Paul came home in 24th. Tony Hayes 25th. Liam Quinn 26th. And Francis Doré in his first race back sadly finished at the back of the field in 27th. We have a couple interviews. We haven't seen Jonas come here yet. So Jonas, if you're watching, definitely come and join us in the interview booth. We'd love to talk to you, with it being your first race and a great result. But Richard is going to talk to our 3rd place finisher, and that was Marcel Seidel.
Hey there.
Hi, Marcel.
Hi.
Marcel, for you, congratulations, 3rd place finish today. Seems like you were in 3rd place for just about the whole race. And was that kind of where you figured you might finish, because you were certainly struggling a bit to get on terms with Jonas and Johan then?
I didn't really plan to finish something, just to finish. And every time I race with the guys, the top 5 position is something like Christmas for me. So I was pretty happy with P2 in qualifying, and my tactics was just like finish a race and don't screw it up. I had like I did last times. And like you two mentioned in the last broadcast like 6 or 7 times that it's not my season. So I just finally wanted to finish the race, and when I found out that after some laps we just could have gap to the guys behind us, I was pretty happy with the popcorn position, and so I didn't really try to push too much there.
Well, look, you're doing well. There's no doubt about it, Marcel. The race today, how tough were the conditions out there? I mean, this is a tough track, and how tough were the conditions besides just battling with the track?
That was today. It was like a little bit better than the practices we had. We had some warm practices and some cold. Usually we have pretty warm conditions, and it's slidey and slippery then. This time it was like a little bit colder, so I didn't have really any issues with the track conditions here. So for me it was like, I'm not sure for the others, but for me it was like this time it was not like Summit Point last season where it was 45 degrees or something. It was 30 something today. So
yeah. Well, look, Marcel, a very nice race for you. I don't think you were in trouble at any stage of either losing the 3rd place position or getting into battles with other drivers. So I know for me personally, I like that even though it might be boring racing, it's certainly being quiet in a race is perfect, because you don't get into trouble, right?
I mean, if you finish in P3, that's a good thing. If you finish in P20 with some race like that, it's not a good thing. So this time it was a good thing for me.
Very good. Congratulations on a podium finish. Your first podium finish this season.
Yep.
So let's hope that continues for you.
I hope that too. Thank you. Thanks, guys, for broadcasting.
Back to you, Joe.
That was Marcel Seidel, our third place finisher here today in round 3. And cool conditions in Canada, you don't say. Color me shocked there. We have our winner to talk to, though, Johan Vandenbelt. Let's pull him into the booth and talk to him about how his race went. Johan, you had quite a back and forth going on early on, and then the pit stops happened. And suddenly you were well clear by about 6 seconds. Did it feel like a quick stop to you, or were you surprised? Or tell us what happened.
It felt like a Christmas present, to be honest, because I don't know if you remember Spa, but that was a race where I pitted together with Robin and Tuan, and I was 6 seconds behind. And well, the thing is, we were racing each other, and yeah, now I was 6 seconds in front, so I don't really know where it comes from. Marcel told me earlier that it has something to do with the way you park your car inside the pit box or something that influences how long it takes before they start refueling. Maybe that was better with me. I heard of Jonas. Jonas said earlier to me that, or after the race, that he put a little bit too much fuel in. So maybe that contributed a little bit. Maybe I was more aggressive, going pit in, going pit exit, like staying closer, because you don't have a pit limiter on these cars. Staying closer to the 64 kilometers an hour that the pit limit speed was. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but that was the crucial moment for me this race.
Do you think that your experience may have helped you, since you mentioned that Jonas had filled a little bit too much fuel? Do you think your experience helped you maybe get that win today, knowing just how much you need and, like you said, practicing those pit ins and pit outs?
It could be. I think, yeah, it could be a possibility, but I don't think Jonas is unexperienced in this car. I think that Jonas has been driving this car in the official series, so he has. He should know how pit stops work and everything in this car. But yeah, like you said, like every race we do, we have 1 or 2 pit stops. So maybe that helps. Maybe that experience helped me a little bit.
Well, you've got 2 out of 3 so far, and I know it was so close in the last season's championship. Are you thinking maybe it's going to be a little bit easier to get to the end at the top, or what are your thoughts on the championship fight before we let you go?
Well, I think it will be even more difficult than last season, because I will be missing the last round of the championship at Watkins Glen. So I have to make sure I have a 21-point lead after Road America, round 6. So I'm sure of the championship, because last round I won't be here. So I have to try to seal the deal before we're there.
Well, I'm sad to hear that, because we were looking forward to you fighting to the end on this one. Well, hopefully we'll at least get to see it at No Sport in a couple weeks' time. And again, congratulations on your win.
Thank you. For sure I'll be there, and I'll be trying to seal the deal there already, but I don't think that will happen yet.
All right, that was Johan Vandenbelt, the fan belt, as we like to call him up here, who is today's winner here at Montreal. Well, that's our 2 interviews, because unfortunately we don't have anybody else that came in to talk to us today. So we're going to close up and thank a few people. Obviously, thanks to the organizers of the Absolute Beginners League. That's Tony Hayes and Dennis Neagle. And of course, thanks to the software and hardware that we use to make our broadcast possible, iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio-Technica, Behringer, and AverMedia. Thanks to the team today, Richard, Amjed, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and our upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel. So check us out on social media and definitely ask us questions. Tell us what you think. We love interacting with our fans. A special thank you to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who both provide us with music for our broadcast. You can buy Eric's music on iTunes and Spotify, and Casey's at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. Next race, as I mentioned, that's going to be at Mosport. That'll be Sunday, November 1st at 12:45 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series on screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, from the team here at GSRC, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.